I want to thank Rod for putting this together. Rod does this on a quarterly basis, where he brings people together to talk about the issues here that we have in Highland. And we don't often have this many here, really. But I want to thank Rod for going the extra mile to do that. One of the things that he campaigned on was better communication. And he's really kept his promise to do that. So I would encourage you, if you've enjoyed tonight, that you would get on his mailing list and become aware of the issues that he has. He's had our state senator here, he's had our representatives, city council folks. We had a presentation from the library one time. So we've had a number of, we had our state auditor who lives in Highland here. So it's a great opportunity to learn what's going on. And we really need to know more about what's happening. So thank you, Rod, for doing that. I hope that the little robocall that we did today was helpful in bringing people out.
It was.
Because, again, it's a communications issue, and if you don't know about it, you can't come. So we tried to make that available. I've lived in Highland for 8 years. And with my wife, Jan, we've been married for 49 years. We have 4 children and 10 grandchildren. And I'm retired. Now, my wife says that that's false doctrine. Because I'm so doggone busy, I'm hardly ever home. But many of you have probably heard me say, I love being retired. And so what it gives me the opportunity to do is to choose what I do each and every day. Jan and I live in an open space development, one of the 18 that I talked about, which comprises about 40% of the city of Highland. But I have to tell you that it has really been a privilege to serve you over the last 4 years on the Highland City Council. This is a great city. And we've had a number of really controversial and emotional and contentious issues to handle. But the people in Highland are extremely civil, and I very much appreciate that. It's an interesting thing, as Brian indicated. When you're first elected to the city council, there's a lot of things that are going on, and you sometimes wonder, what are they talking about? Well, one of the things that people don't realize is that when an issue comes before the city council, we all live in a neighborhood, and some of our neighbors feel this way about it, some of our neighbors feel this way about it, and no matter what we do, sometimes half of our neighbors are not happy with us. So it's a difficult process, and we try very, very hard to do the right thing and not to do it on an emotional basis. So let's talk a little bit about my service on the council. Highland City is small, and that was one of the reasons why my wife and I moved to Highland. And I think that's something that people like. We love the views, we love the fact that it's small, and even though we live in an open space area which allows smaller lots, we enjoy the open space. We enjoy what the open space gives to us. So on the record, over the last 4 to 6 years, we have seen a 20% in the debt reduction for the Highland City. We've gone from about 18 million to about 12 million. And that's been an effort that started with Mayor Ritchie, and he did an excellent job moving that forward, and the council has continued to make sure that that debt continues to decrease. We've worked very hard to try to solve some of the open space issues, which Dennis served on the Open Space Committee, provided a lot of input to the council, and the council has been responsive to helping solve some of those open space issues. Quite frankly, even though I live in an open space division, I'm wondering now as I look back if that didn't start some of the problems that we've had in terms of trying to determine what kind of a city we are. Because so many of us, and I've talked to so many of you, who love the open space, who love the large lots, and really don't want to see us reduce the size of lots. And yet that was done as part of the general plan long before Brian and I had served on the council. So it's something that we're faced with and we have to work through. Roads are a priority for me. We have increased our spending on improving roads from practically nothing when 4 to 6 years ago to about $750,000 this year. So we are improving the road maintenance, but it's not where any of us want it to be quite yet. And I would just remind you that over the years where we've reduced the debt and increased the amount of road repair and maintenance, we've done both of those without raising your property taxes. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that one of the things that I take very seriously is going through the budget on a line-by-line basis and making sure that we're spending your tax dollar, which I consider a sacred tax dollar, on a very efficient way, in a very efficient way. So I do that every year, done that for 4 years, and I plan to continue to do that. I serve now as the chair of the Lone Peak Public Safety Board. Over the last several years, that board has been primarily a budget board. They look at the budget, they say yes or they say no, and that's about all they've done. And since I took over as chair, I've tried to increase their board's involvement in policy. As you know, we've had issues all across the country with public safety folks, our law enforcement people being abused, I think. And I want to make sure that we are properly training our officers and that we have the best quality and the most professional both firefighters and police officers that we can possibly have. That's an important part of what a city council does, is to provide for your safety, both on the fire side, EMT, paramedic side, as well as the police officer side. So I am an ardent arts supporter on a personal basis. I serve on the library board, and I love what the library does. The library has amazing programs that many of our residents in the city of Highland take advantage of. In terms of community development, it is really important for me to have the community involved in that development. For example, up where the city built the Beacon Hills Park, beautiful park, it now houses one of the most used disc golf courses in Utah County. It's used quite often, constantly. It's one of the most beautiful disc golf courses in the county. It was all developed with private, voluntary labor and money. It was done to help the community come together, but it didn't cost the city a tax dollar. That's what I like to see happen. We had the same thing over at Highland Glen Park. Volleyball courts were put in there. A lot of improvements were made there based on private donations. And it's really positive. The community gets to use it, and it doesn't cost the community extra money. I think, and another one that we just finished we have an emergency phone that was just placed up at Tribble Reservoir, where a young lady's had an accident and she passed away because they couldn't get communication to the dispatch to get help. And through private donations, we now have a phone that has been installed up there so that there is a quicker response and we can serve the needs of the residents who might have an emergency while they're up at Tibble Fork. So we can do these kinds of things, I think, on our own. We don't always have to go to the appropriate taxing agency and raise taxes to get it done. We can get things done. I'll give you one more example. We had the Arts Council, and I love the Arts Council. Shauna Larson is a good personal friend of mine. She's the president of the Arts Council. By the way, if you have not been to the Timpanogos Symphony here in this area, they perform at Timberline Middle School. They're performing tomorrow night and Saturday night. They have Hogwarts, Halloween at Hogwarts. It is amazing. Okay, so enough of that, but just a little plug for the symphony. But the Arts Council came to the council and said, our piano in the community center is kaput. We can't use it. And we need to buy a new one. And I have an opportunity to buy a used one. And we'd like the council to contribute, I think it was $7,000 or $8,000, so they had raised $4,000 or $5,000 for it. And so I knew it was on the agenda, and I know Shauna, and so I went up to Shauna before the meeting and I said to her, Shauna, you know I can't support this. And she said, Tim, why not? I mean, you really support the arts. Why can't you support this? And so the way I explained it to her was this. Would you take a gun out of your purse, go to your next door neighbor, and require them to spend $5 on a new piano? And she says, well, no, of course not. I wouldn't do that. And I said, so then, why would you ask the city council to do that for you? Because when I give you, the council gives you $8,000, we have to raise taxes that amount, and everybody has to pay, whether they want to or not. That's the way it works. So she said, oh, well, I really never thought of it that way. So after that meeting, the very next day, she went out and started to raise the money. She ended up raising over $30,000 to buy a brand new Yamaha baby grand piano. She ended up with a much better piano and much better buy-in by the community than had she come to the council and we just gave her the money. And so that's the kind of thing I think we can do better. Because I think there are certain things that the council should and always should be involved in doing. But some things we can do without going to the taxation process. So I serve on what I lovingly call the garbage board. Brian serves on the sewer board. I serve on the garbage board. So when your trash is picked up by the trash company, I'm involved with that board. And I've served there now for the last 4 years. And I'm also a member of what is a new organization called the Northern Utah Environmental Resource Association, which is looking at finding ways to be more resourceful in making sure that we're taking care of our environment. I serve on the Utah League of Cities Policy Committee, and that's an interesting committee, and I enjoy working on it, but I think we need a little bit more conservative influence with those folks because they love to raise your taxes, and I'm not a big tax increaser. So I think it's important to recognize that I am clearly and totally committed to Highland City. I work very hard on a regular basis. My wife will tell you that I'm doing things all the time. I have meetings in my home once a month where we talk about issues, constitutional issues, events, things that are impacting the community. And we talk about those not with the idea that I'm right and you're wrong, but to put the information on the table so that people can make up their own minds. That's what I feel is important. And that's why I really appreciate the input that you give us. I want to hear from you who don't agree with me, because it helps me clarify why I might think the way I think. And who knows, it might even get me to change my mind. Sometimes it does, yes.
So if you're opposed to raising taxes, how will you fix the roads?
Well, we're in the process of fixing the roads, and it's a matter of timing. Okay, do we want to fix the roads all tomorrow or over the next period of time? There are roads that are in serious need, and one of the things that I think is really important, and we still haven't got a complete plan to fix the roads. But before we go ahead and raise money in some way, we need to have a plan that says, okay, this is what we're going to do over the next period of time. I'd like to see us get rid of the debt and then begin to put that money into roads. We do have to fix the roads. One of the things that's important, that I feel very important is, just 1 second, is that we take care of our infrastructure. And when we are not fixing the roads, then we're allowing them to deteriorate. And so that's why we have a plan together for maintenance. You've seen the chip sealing going on out there. That's helping preserve the roads that we have. And that's what we're in the process of doing. Yes?
So you say you don't have you just contradict yourself. Because one minute you didn't have a plan, and then the next minute you did have a plan. So you have a plan for maintenance, but not for repairs. Is that what you're saying?
We have a plan for maintenance. We don't have a plan for capital improvement.
And why not? Because 4 years ago when we had an election, roads were a big issue. So why don't we have a plan by now? That's 4 years.
Yep.
And you did hire out to other people to evaluate the roads. So why isn't there a plan yet?
The roads have been evaluated and the plan is in process. It takes time. I wish it took a little less time, but you know, we as a council, all 5 of us, are very committed to fixing roads, and so we're working on it. The check's in the mail, so to speak. Go ahead.
I guess what I'm hearing is you have a plan to try to fix this without ever raising taxes. And I think at some point to have services like the police and the fire and the roads repaired, not just sealed and look pretty because they're newer and you can do that. Are you never going to ever have that as an option to raise our taxes?
Well, I would not say, that's a good question, because I would not say that I would never raise taxes, because that's just inappropriate to say that. And but I do feel that we need to explore every avenue before we raise taxes.
But then your roads keep getting worse because we're already 4 years down the road because it's taken a long time to get a plan and the roads just get worse and worse and worse. So it sounds like we're kicking the can down the road instead of repairing roads.
Well, and that's where your input is important to the council. If you feel that we should go ahead and raise taxes, we've had several proposals to put a fee on your water bill, anywhere from $7 to $15 a month. That's been discussed. There's been an awful lot of things that have been discussed, but we haven't got, one guy on the council doesn't make those decisions. It takes 3 to make that happen. So, those are the things we have to consider. And we also have to consider that we represent everybody in the city of Highland, not just those people who can afford to raise taxes. I've had people come to this podium and say, please, raise my taxes. And then I have others who say to me, Tim, we cannot afford any more taxes. Because it's not just, and as Brian I think rightfully pointed out, it's not just us that are raising their taxes. It's the Alpine School District, it is the state, and it is the federal government. And just in the state, just this last year, An average family making $50,000 had their taxes raised over $140 for the year. And you can hear our conservative legislators say that we don't raise taxes. We're conservative. We don't raise taxes. But in fact, they do. So anyway, let me go on a little bit here.
Question in the back.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi.
Oh, Catherine, I didn't see you sitting back there.
Hi.
Now I'm in real trouble.
So there used to be a certified tax rate that was sent to the city council from the county, but it actually originated in the state. Is that no longer an issue?
No, there is still a certified tax rate that, as Brian explained correctly, that goes up and down so that no matter what the economy is, the city gets the same amount.
But the council has three options, right? You can accept what the county sends on to you, or you can vote to reduce it, or you can vote to increase it.
That's correct. And if we vote to increase it, then we have to have what they call a truth in taxation hearing, and then the public is allowed to come in and voice their views on that.
Exactly. I would like to ask you, I waited and I didn't get a chance to speak because I try to have good manners. What specific things have you supported to reduce the debt?
Well, reducing the debt means that we're taking more money and moving it from other areas in the city budget. So we have reduced staff significantly. We've changed staff. We've combined efforts. That's had a significant impact. We've also taken some of our reserves and paid off some of the tax debt. And so, those are things that we can do. That's why the debt can't go down completely quickly. It's just a matter of getting it down over time.
I understand that.
Yes?
Same question that I asked the other two.
Yes.
Leaving our Sunday closure policy how it is, what else would you do to attract commercial to Highland?
Well, I think, all of the candidates have talked about some various things that we can do, and I would agree with them. My neighbor happens to be the owner of the meters that didn't get placed in right here in our center. And I've talked with him about bringing a sit-down restaurant here to Highland, and he'd like to do that. And we've also had some discussion about making the process a little easier. And the council has really, in fact, streamlined it, and it's much better. But you have developers out there that have worked with Highland over the years, and we've developed a reputation, and it's very difficult to change that reputation. But over time, over the last 6 years, we've done a pretty good job of making it easier and having more people come in. Brian talked about a number of them, and I think that's been very positive. One of the things we have to do is to get out in front of the businesses that would do well in our environment. I'm not sure who said it, but somebody said businesses coming to Highland, being closed on Sunday, they're going to make money. That's just the way it is. If they open on Sunday, they're going to lose money because people in Highland just don't shop. And if they do shop, they go somewhere else. And that's fine. But I think it's important to recognize that a lot of businesses, they see that Sunday closing thing, and it discourages them from even looking at us. So what that means is we have to do a better job of marketing and getting out there and showing them what our demographics are so that they will come here. And I've had some recent conversations with folks that do that kind of thing, get Highland out in front of these businesses that would like to come here. But again, we're not talking about big box businesses. We're talking about mom and pops. We're talking about the smaller type businesses. That's what we're looking for here in Highland. We're not going to have I don't want to be an Orem. I don't want to be a State Street. You know, that isn't why I moved to Highland. So that's where we're at. Yes?
You can comment about being on the board of public safety?
I'm sorry.
You're on the board of the public safety?
Yes.
Okay. They are funded through taxes, correct?
They are funded through taxes, correct.
Okay. And then they're paid, now, coming back, what happens to the revenue they bring in?
It goes to offset the amount of money that each city pays them to perform their services. So their revenue is included in the budget. So for example, on the police side, Alpine and Highland contribute to the safety board. Whatever they might generate in revenue offsets what we would have to pay them. So when for example, a fire department transports somebody to a hospital and they bill, sometimes they get paid, sometimes they don't. But when they get paid, that goes to the budget and it offsets what we have to pay. Yes?
You can ask your own question. Anyway, I hear, and I'm sorry, I need
It's
to
okay,
say
it's
this
okay.
because you're saying we want to attract businesses. I think everybody here is okay with that.
Yes.
So what specifically would you do, you know, to bring them here? How would you find these businesses? How would you attract them? What would you do?
Yeah, one of the things that we're doing right now is we have Jessie Schoenfeld, who's on the council. She is on the Economic Development Committee. That is a group of people that are business people that are looking at ways to attract business. We have contacts with various companies that we can talk to. That's how we would do it. I am not one that would reduce their tax burden. They have to come to Highland because they see the demographic here that they can make money. But I'm not going to give them a tax offset to come here because that just puts more of a tax burden on you.
Right.
What? We're done?
No, 2 minutes.
Okay. So I do believe, there's one other thing I do that's kind of fun, is I am a radio host, and I do a radio show once a week, and I'm often billed as the constitutional councilman because I am a student of the Constitution. And I do believe strongly that good government is limited government. There seems to be government overreach at every level. It happens here in Highland, and it happens at the state level, and it happens at the federal level. I'd like to see that minimized as much as possible. So, are there any other, yes, one more question.
Really short summary of your opinion on top one.
Yes. My opinion would be very similar to Dennis's, Ed Dennis's. I would not, because of the fact that it is funding UTA, which is already subsidizing each passenger to the tune of 85%, I would not be able to support that. We need to have a different bill that would allow that tax money to come to the cities for road improvement, which we do need. And it is going to generate, the gas tax increase is going to generate about $90,000 for us for the full year. It's about $45,000 for the next for January through July. That's going to help us, but it's not enough.
One more.
Yes.
You say you're for limited government, but you
Yes.
believe the best government is the closest to the people?
Yes, I do.
So cities are better equipped to do things than states and federal?
Correct, and families are often better equipped to do things than cities are.
So in the last few years, what have you done to take things away that the state is doing, that the city should be doing and spending money on instead of letting the state do it?
Well,
What are you doing to take it back?
yeah, that's an interesting thing. The city is a subordinate of the state. The state creates the city. It's not like in the U.S. Constitution where the states created the U.S. government. In the case of the states and cities, the states create the cities. So as a matter of trying to take something away from the state, that's a tough thing to do. But I do spend a lot of time in the Capitol talking with them about different issues that you know, cause what we call unfunded mandates that they will force upon the cities and trying to mitigate those kinds of things. I think that's a role as a leader in the City Council that we should do. And because I'm retired, I do have the opportunity and the time to go up there, and I'm fairly well known up there sometimes. Yes?
We moved there in 99 from Lincoln County, Missouri.
Yes?
We moved in 99 in Lincoln County, Missouri, where we moved from a lot of time. We were in Ohio.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
He moved in
I'm old and-
1999 from
1999,
Missouri.
moved here from Lincoln County, Missouri.
Okay, good.
We got around the Missouri River and the Mississippi River. That's how we got around hills and
Moved
trees
just
and
to the
everything.
side there, yeah.
Hills and trees and everything. I lived on, took 3 miles of gravel road to get to my house. And the only noise I heard back then was chippewas and tree frogs. So I came here and moved here, but I couldn't stand the noise. I mean, the noise was terrific. I mean, I thought it was in a big city, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've gotten used to noise, now I got used to sirens and all that
Right.
stuff. But we decided we wanted to have our gravel road, some of it paved, 2 miles of it paved. I didn't expect the whole Lincoln County to pay for that road, that's the road I used. So everybody lived on that road, or near that road. We paid about $2,000 each out of our own pocket to get that road blacktopped. So my opinion is, if you want your roads fixed, you don't have the money, you have to raise taxes just for fixing the roads. That's what you're gonna have to do.
And that may be an alternative that we have to go down.
I'm looking at your situation.
Yeah,
I got a sidewalk that's not been fixed since '99.
yeah.
If you go by the corner of 6,000 West and Highway 92, that sidewalk has not been completed. Just
Well,
stopped.
let me just give you a little personal background. When it comes to the roads, my wife has fibromyalgia, which means she is in pretty much constant pain. She has a lot of pain all the time. And she feels every single bump on the roads in Highland. And I constantly hear from her, Tim, fix these roads. So I am totally understanding of the fact that we have to fix the roads. It would make my life a lot easier. But remember, it takes 3 people to make that happen, not just 1. It takes 3. So that's how things get done on the City Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Can I just leave one last comment, please? This is a quote by Sam Adams. And what he says is, let each citizen remember at the moment he is offering his vote that he is not making a present or a compliment to please an individual, or at least he ought not to do so, but that he is executing one of the most solemn trusts in human society, for which he is accountable to God and his country. So I'm asking for your vote, and you will win with Irwin. Thank you.